So solving word problems with fractions. To warm up, find 2/3 of 30. Can I teach you a mathematical translation technique right now? When you see the word of, it means to multiply. So if I say 2/3 of 30, what you are doing is you're doing 2/3 times 30. And you'll remember our calculators have that wicked fraction button. 2 fraction button, for those of you who weren't here, that's that ABC button. 3 times 30. Sydney, what did you get? You should all get 20. It's just 20. So you're just putting it in, getting the answer. Lots of times these ones will work out to whole numbers. Okay, I need a mathematical statement and then an answer. 1/5 of 25. How can I write that out, River? 1/5 times 25. And again, you were going to type in, and if you weren't here, it's 1, and then it's the ABC button for most of you is your fraction button. 5 times 25. And when you do that, what are we getting? 5. Okay. Let's do the next one. 8/9 of 27. 8/9. How will I write that as a fraction? Good. 8/9 times 27. You crunch that. You tell me the answer, Jax. 24 is perfect. Thank you, Jax. All right. 3/4 of 84. 3/4 times 84. Very good. And then you crunch that. 63 sounds good to me. Oh, that rhymes. It's almost like I'm teaching language arts. Okay, so 2 things from these ones. You always want to look at what I'm teaching and say, what did she want me to figure out from that? If you see the word of, you know you're going to multiply. And do you now know where your fraction buttons are? Okay, so lots of times we put this into context. If 2/3 of a pizza has been eaten, what portion is left? Sometimes it's going to be a mathematical thing. Sometimes it's going to be one that I want you to fight through. Sydney raised your hand. Sydney, what were you going to say? Yeah. So if I start with a circle, and sometimes you're just looking at them from basic fractions. I split it into 3. Does that make sense? And then I got hungry, and I ate this third. And then I ate this third. How many of the pieces are left? 1/3. So we would say 1/3. Oops. Is remaining. Just because you guys are smart cookies, what if I said I ate 5/8 of the pizza? How much is left? 3/8. If I ate 11/12 of the pizza, Sydney? Good. So you're just basically figuring out what makes that denominator equal to the numerator equal to the denominator. I always think pizza because pizza to me is it's the easiest fraction that I've seen. Okay, next one. There are 28 apples in a bag. Cooper eats 2/7 of the apples. How many are left? Okay, well, yeah, so we're seeing this, the of. Cooper eats 2/7 of 28. Now, I'm a big believer we got to label as well here. That's how much he's eating. Now, you would crunch that for me just like we did to start today. Does anyone know what 2/7 of 28 is? Yes. It is 8. Does that answer the question? No. So you want to, they are sneaky about these questions. They want to see if you're reading as well. He ate 8. Yeah, we want to know how many are left. We started with how many apples? 28. Cooper is going to have a tummy ache if he ate 8 apples, but he did. Hopefully spread those out. How many are left? 20 apples are left. How do we feel if we encountered a question like that?
Easy.
That one's good. Lemon squeezy. All right. Oh, baking questions. Also where the fractions come out. In the land of grade 2, they've been doing fractions and they have been baking in class. They made chocolate chip cookies. They made pie for Pie Day. We're just going to do the word problem though. It'll be just as much fun. Right, Kai? Iman's recipe for apple fritters. I've never made an apple fritter, but maybe it's something on my bucket list I should do. Makes 20 fritters and uses 2/3 of a cup of milk. Iman wants to make 5 fritters. How much milk will she need? Ugh. Well, yeah. I might start by writing this. 20 fritters. And it uses 2/3 of milk. Agreed? How many fritters do I want? 5 fritters.
So when you divide them both by 5?
Yeah. So the reason I like writing it out like this is it becomes pretty easy for our brains to say, well, 20 divides by 4 to give us the 5. But if I divide the number of donuts, should I divide also the milk? Yeah, or you get a soupy mess. So 2/3 divide by 4, which normally would be a very complicated operation. But do you have the ability to actually just put that in your calculator? 2, fraction button 3, and then you're going to hit divide by 4. 2, fraction button 3. So that's what I'm going to use. And divide by 4. What are you getting as an amount of milk, Jax? 1/6. So 1/6 of a cup of milk. So the one thing that actually warms my math heart is on your quizzes, you guys did a good job of laying out what you were doing. And if you lay it out with what you're doing, and I actually will give you full marks for that today, and it shows me how you found it, am I happy with that? Does this lay out what I've done?
Yes.
Step 1, if you're stuck, write out some of the information you know. See if you can organize it. Okay, number 8. We're flying. If it takes an electrical crew 1 day to install cable along 1/3 of a mile of road, how long will it take them to lay cable down a road that is 2 2/3 mile? Ugh. Sydney. Yeah, so, but I want us just, good. If I were going to draw this out, and I said that the entire road was 2 2/3, would you agree I'm going to split it into pieces that are 1/3 big? And I'd like to know how many pieces. Anytime I want to know how many pieces, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to always take the total. The total distance in this is 2 2/3. And I want to divide that by the size of each piece. Each piece for this one is 1/3 big. Now you'll remember, and the reason I threw this one in here is we didn't necessarily do a great job of me explaining this last time. Can you enter a mixed number into your calculator still?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just going to be 2 fraction button 2 fraction button 3. On the ones that have the box over the box, if you're not sure how to enter this in, raise your hand. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, you do the shift and then it opens up that whole number. Okay, when you do this, how many days is it going to take? 8 days. So that's one of those common things you're looking for, is anytime they're trying to take something big and split it into pieces, I want your brain to think, hey, I'm dividing. Time to finish a job is 2 3/4 hours. How much time is needed after Maddie worked 1 2/3 hours? This is like a how much is left question, agreed? If it's a how much is left question, what operation does that kind of sound like? So it's actually not division, subtraction. It's like if I go to the store and I have a certain amount and I use some of the money, how much is left I would subtract. This is the same thing. Which number do you think has to go first?
2 3/4.
Yeah, the total amount will go first, 2 3/4. And then I want to see how much is left. So I'm going to minus the amount that's already gone, 1 2/3. Take a moment. I want every single one of you typing this into your calculator. If you're not sure how, raise your hand. This is where your calculator does this. It's a really good tool. We could totally do it by hand, but I think you'd probably rather use your calculator for today.
Exactly doing this on my calculator.
So your calculator, unfortunately, won't do it. So as soon as the lesson's done, you're going to need to get one from the library.
Okay.
Okay? To borrow, because you don't have the fraction button.
Is that right?
Okay. Are we getting 1 1/12?
Yeah.
Now, if you have, and I just don't clear that, Sydney. These calculators, it's normally the ones that have the box over the box, and it gave you 13/12. You can convert this just like you do to a decimal, but you're going to press shift and then the SD, and it will make it into your mix.
Okay.
Okay? Does yours work? So then for you, same thing. You're going to press shift and then the S to D, and it'll make it 1 1/12. Cool? Okay. Want you to try right now 10 and 11. Just see, these ones are going to be of questions. Of in math means what operation? Multiplying. That's my hint to you. See if you can lay out some sort of an equation that makes sense. So we look at this guy, we looked for our keyword. It was of. Now there's 2 ways you might have gone about this. So even if you solved it and got our mystery number of 47, I want you to watch this. When I write this out, I wrote that they sold 4/5 of the 235. What sign can the of turn into? Times. So 4/5 times 235, I think, is it 188? But then I would have an extra step, wouldn't I?
Yep.
Because that's how many they sold, but they want to know how many are not sold. Aiden?
Why wouldn't you just do 235 minus 4 over 5 or 4? 4/5.
So you could, but that's going to give you 234 and a fifth. That's saying you only sold. If you're just taking away 4/5, you took away just 4/5, like not even 1. We need to figure out what 4/5, how many that actually equals.
Oh, okay.
And then at that stage, you could take the 235, take away the 188 that represents the 4/5, and that's what gives you 47 seats left. Is there a different way that anyone could see that you could right away figure if they sold 4/5, how much did they not sell? Yeah. So your other option would have been to say if they sold 4/5, they didn't sell 1/5 of the 235. What is 1/5 times 235?
47.
47. Do both versions get you to the same answer? Yeah, so just important you're kind of reading. You decide. Truth be known, that top weight, that's not a lot more work. Agreed? You could do that. Okay, next one. Transatlantic flight. Did you know if you fly on an airplane over an ocean, they will feed you? Yeah. You get to choose because people like different things. 9 out of 10 of the people chose steak. That's quite a... If 220 were on the flight, how many chose steak? Could we say that 9/10 of the 220 chose the steak? So if I have 9/10 of 220, what operation does the word of mean? Multiply. So 9/10 times 220, or of 220, told me how many of those people, or how many steaks do we need to have on the airplane, Jax? 100, sorry kiddo, 85? 98. Thank you. So 198 people chose steak. Who would choose steak on a flight in this?
I don't know what that means, man.
Well, it's probably
In a
pretty...
freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like normally airplane food is like so gross. Yeah. Other than the mac and cheese.
Okay, so Sydney here is choosing the mac and cheese.
Yeah.
I think I'm going, like, if it's a transatlantic flight, the food is actually better than... It's not the WestJet pretzels that come in the bag. Not there's anything wrong with those.
I've never been on an airplane.
Oh, well, maybe one day you'll get to choose steak. Okay, Flip, we are almost there. I know today is long. It's just fighting through different scenarios so that you can match them to your assignment. Shopping. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. This is... Who doesn't love shopping? My kids don't love shopping. New jacket at American Eagle. I need you to refocus for me. Was selling for $60 originally. Okay, it was a good deal. The manager reduced the price by 1/4. This must have been an ugly jacket because it still didn't sell. Then she reduced it by another 1/3. Determine the new price. Well, we started at $60. Should we figure out how much she reduced it by the first time? So we're going to times it because we want to know what 1/4 of that price is. Would you agree that's how much she's taking off? Mm-hmm. Now, you also have a different choice, though. If she's taking off 1/4, how much is left?
3/4.
3/4. So we have to make a choice as a class. Do you want to figure out how much she's taking off or how much is left?
How much is left?
Okay, both. If you want to do how much is left, go with your 3/4. I'm going to do how much she's taking off. So she's taking off 1/4. So 60 times 1/4 would tell me how much she's going to reduce that price by. Good, 15. So what we're really saying, and I don't want to lose sight of it, she reduced the price by 1/4, meaning she reduced the price now by 15. What is the new price? 45, because she took the 60, reduced it by the 15 that we calculated. New price is $45. It's on the sale rack. People keep looking. No one bought it. So then she said, okay, that price is going to transfer down. The price is 45 now. She's going to reduce it by 1/3. What am I going to do with that 1/3? Times it by 1/3. That'll tell me how much she's reducing it by. What's 45 times 1/3?
30. But I did it the other way, so it would be 15.
Good. 15. Would you agree she took another 15 off? Maybe we even want to write this one was 15 off the first time. Then she took another 15 off it again. So this time, the new price, it started at 45. Oops. She took another 15 off. How much is the new price tag of that coat? 30. So she took a grand total, or took it all the way down to $30. Do you think the coat sold for $30? Mm-hmm. I think so. I think that's how they get you, because you're like, that's such a good deal. I don't even love it, but I'll buy it. Right, Kai? Does that make sense what we just did there? Okay, next one. Mr. Henry joined Weight Watchers. He lost 5.5 pounds his first week. He continued to lose at a steady rate of 2 pounds a week. How many weeks did it take him to lose 25 pounds? This is a question where you could do what River does. And could you just start subtracting? Yeah, it would work, wouldn't it, River? He has 25 pounds we want to lose. How much did he lose the first week?
5.5.
Good. 25 take away 5.5. Now that's actually the hardest part because that's the only week that was the odd guy out. Would you agree after that it followed a pattern? So after week 1, can anyone tell me how much would he'd have left if his goal was to lose 25?
19.5.
Yeah, 19.5 left. Now, you could minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. Yeah? River?
Divide by 2.
So you could also then take this and say, I just want to see how many times I have to divide this by 2. So 19.5 divided by 2 would give me the rest of the weeks. So this one here was week 1. 19.5, using your calculators, divide by 2. Sydney?
9.75.
9.75. Or 9 3/4. After 9 weeks, did he lose the 25 yet? Or did it take that extra week? Well, let's just think about it. 9 times 2 pounds is how many pounds? 18. If he needed to lose 19.5 and at 9 weeks he had lost 18, is he at his goal yet? So would you agree we'd have to round this? What will this round to? 10. So it took week 1 plus 10 more weeks. How many weeks did it take? 11 weeks. So you'd add those, gives us 11 weeks. Now, do you want to know a secret? In this question, you might have had an easier time just minusing the 2's a bunch of times. Is that going to be okay if that gets you to the answer? Yeah. The only time I don't want you doing that is if it's going to take like 57 of something. That's a lot of writing to subtract each time. And that's how they'll get you on that. Tally marks would work. Okay, do we have 2 more in us? Yeah, you do. Can you stay for these 2? This is like the grand finale encore of my performance today. You drank too much hot chocolate. Happens to the best of us. Cassie, $400 in her wallet. That's so dangerous, kids. Should you have that much money in your wallets? No, please don't. Put it in the bank where it's safe. Anyway, she had that money. She spent 3/4 on car repairs. And then she took half of the remaining and bought 8 dozen pairs, which was kind of random, but she did. What was the cost of 1 dozen pairs? This is loaded. Let's just do one step at a time because that's too much reading for my brain. Cassie had $400 in her wallet and spent 3/4 on car repairs. So if I do that, can anyone tell me what you would do with those numbers? So 400, well, let's try it. If you start with 400 and then you're suggesting you would minus 3/4.
Divide by.
I'm hearing divide by.
Times.
And I'm hearing times. So what I'll tell you, it is times because it's 3/4 of the 400. But if you get stuck, we just have to think bigger picture. If you did 400 minus 3/4, you're going to get 399.25. Does it make sense that she spent $399 out of the 400 on the car repairs?
I got 300.
So you got 300 because you did a times?
Yeah.
Does it make sense if she had 400 and you times it that she spent $300 on car repairs.
But then you have to subtract.
You do. So this is what she spent was $300. But I want to know what she has left. How did you get the 100?
I subtracted 300 from 400.
Good. So the 400, take away the 300, equals 100 left. So then she went out. She took half of the money to buy the pears. Would you agree I need to somehow figure out what half of 100 is?
50.
Good. 100 times 1 over 2. Some of you, when I worded it like that, what's half of 100? You actually just knew that it'd be 50. Agreed?
Yeah.
So then you do and crunch the numbers and you make sure, did it work out to 50?
Yep.
Now 50 is kind of neat because that's technically what she spent. How did you get that?
I took 50 and I divided it by 8.
Good. She spent $50 on pears. Pears are actually really expensive. She probably got a good deal there. But they want to know if that's 8 dozen pears and you only want 1 dozen pears, would you agree you have to divide that by 8 to see how much 1 dozen was? So you would take that number, that 50, you'd say, I'm going to divide that by 8. Aiden had it for us. How much was 1 dozen pears?
$6.25. $6.25.
Yeah. For 1 dozen pears.
And then you have to times it by 8, I'm guessing.
Well, if you times it by 8, it just takes you right back to the $50 where you already were.
Mind.
So you can to double check, but you don't have to. Okay. I know, you guys are smart cookies. I knew you would. Last one. Gas. Oh, gas is expensive lately.
How
The-
much is it?
I think it's
How much for a liter?
$1.67 a liter or something now. It's the most it's ever been in my entire life.
Isn't it like 75?
In BC, it's over $2. Yeah. So a tank is 3/4 full. No more warming the car up or leaving it running when you're not using it. After 120 liters are used, the tank is 1/4 full. How many liters does the tank hold? That's confusing, isn't it? I'm going to just draw a gas tank. Would you like to see what it looks like in your vehicle? It doesn't look like a circle. It looks like a square. And we're going to try and reason this out. If they tell me that it's 3/4 full, would you agree it's like I've split it into 4 pieces? Follow me so far. When 3/4 are full, it looks like this. But then they said they used some. How much did they use? 120 liters. And what did that take the gas tank down to?
1/4.
Yeah, it took it down. So would you agree they used up that, meaning that these two together were 120 liters? Yeah. So in this one, lots of ways you could show your math, but I'm actually okay with just the picture. If you would look at this and you'd say, well, 120 liters was 2 of the quarters, how much would fit in the entire tank? Good, 240. Because would you agree that if 2/4 is that, this and this would make up the other 2/4? And you would end up, so you could say, I'm just going to times that by 2, equals 240 liters in the tank. Okay. Flip. That's the end of me talking. Whew.
So bad.
Yeah, just listen for the assignment menu.
Okay.
I don't even need you to do all of these because one of these questions actually drives me crazy. You can cross out question 2 in a moment. Question 1, 5/8 of a carton of milk are left in the fridge. Katie drinks 1/4. What fraction is left? If you have something and then she takes something away, what operation do you think you're using? Minus, that's my hint. Maybe I'll even write the hint in here. Okay, the second one. Elephant keeper at the zoo, that's like my dream job, prepares 1 1/3. The fractions are not the best printed. Buckets of apples for the elephant. If the elephants eat 3/4 of all the apples, how many did they eat? This word of sticks out to me. Yeah, what does that guy tell you to do, Griffin? Multiply. And I'm going to start you on the third one or on the fourth one. We skipped number 2. Benjamin's class went on a field trip to the airport. That would be fun. 1/5 of the class went to the management offices. 1/10 went to the flight training area. 1/10 went to the flight control area. The rest of the class went to the hangar. There are 60 students in the class. How many went to the hangar? This one's actually going to be 2 parts. Would you agree we need to first figure out what fraction went to the hangar? And then we could see that it would be that fraction of 60. If I was talking about starting with a whole, what number means a whole? Could I use 1 as a whole?
Yeah.
To figure out how many are in the hangar, I could subtract all the kids. I could take that 1 whole, take away the 1/5. Then I'm going to take away the 1/10. Then I'm going to take away the other 1/10. Would you agree that'll give me the fraction that's in the hangar? And then it's just like what we've seen. You have 6 questions here. We crossed one out. That makes 5. Do I want to see your work?
Yes.
Yeah. I will go over these answers with you in about 15 minutes. I want this to be independent because this is where you need to dig deep. You need to try the question, raise your hand, accept help, and then try the next one. The more you try, the better, stronger your brain as a muscle for solving these problems is going to get. Ready, set, go.